Liberal education is as old as the nation itself. One of the founders of our great nation, Thomas Jefferson, spoke of the need for liberal education. His ideal at the University of Virginia of an academic community is built around an ideal of liberal education that prepares students for the world beyond the university. It's an educational approach that's grounded in a deep appreciation for how knowledge can transform the world. It's preparing students for attacking and approaching the big questions of life and human existence. It's preparing students to become leaders in a dynamic and ever-changing world. It's empowering students with the critical thinking skills and the intellectual reasoning abilities to begin to look at issues and problems affecting human life from various perspectives, taking into account the deep diversity of human knowledge and thought and applying that in a dynamic and new manner. Traditionally, liberal education has been the preserve of very elite institutions: the University of Virginia, Harvard University, Dartmouth College, Yale University. And it's an educational approach that has been almost identified purely with an elite educational experience. But in the late 20th century and in the early 2000s, what has happened in American higher education has been a very transvaluation of terms. It means that liberal education is no longer the preserve of the elite. It is a mandate that we must give every student. It is the possibility that all of us must engage in a process of educating students to the fullest of their potential, to meet academic and intellectual excellence, to prepare students for a dynamic, volatile, and very changing world, to enable all students to reach the fullness of their intellectual potential by challenging them with educational excellence. It means providing the requisite supports to enable students to be critical consumers of their education. It means that we as faculty, we as scholars, we as intellectuals must look at our scholars in training not as just students in a didactic educational experience, but rather look at them as our future peers, as our fellow citizens, as individuals who will have to attack the big issues facing humanity: climate change, a perilous economy, global conflict, hunger, poverty, racism, sexism. How do our students engage those big questions with dynamic new thinking, armed with an arsenal of intellectual possibilities to change the world?
The provost says it, the chancellor says it when they're out there trying to promote the university and to attain funding. Some of those business people are saying, I would rather have a student who has those competencies, the critical thinking, the critical reading, being able to articulate, being able to write consciously. I would rather have those individuals working for me than someone who's just learning about a specific content area. And so being able to apply your knowledge to whatever problem that may have to be resolved becomes more important for those individuals and for the employer. And so that's critical now, that they don't want individuals who are just parroting information in content areas, but the ability to resolve and problem solve issues are what people are looking for.
Liberal education is a diverse approach to learning that allows us to have the intellectual capacity to dissect problems, critically think, and most importantly, be analytical thinkers. It allows us to be able to be in different courseworks, different levels of coursework, and bring those two together. I can be in a math class and learn those skills, and be in a humanities course and learn those skills, and then merge those two together and see what happens when you merge those two courseworks together. I think it's so important to be liberally educated, because you can't really define a liberally educated student, but you can really see a liberally educated student within their engagement in the community, within their engagement on campus, and most importantly, the way that they write, the way that they speak, and the way that they carry themselves throughout their everyday life. It's important for our students at WSSU to be liberally educated, mainly because it allows us to be able to apply the things that we learn here at WSSU and take them out into the workforce, take them out into graduate school, and most importantly, allow us to create jobs, create leadership opportunities. And liberal education isn't really something that you can put your finger on, but it's something that you see when you see a holistic student that's able to be well-versed in different fields, but also be a leader in the community and leaders within whatever workforce or wherever they may be.
Liberal education lies at the heart of Winston-Salem State University. When you think of Simon Green Atkins, first you think of his deep intellectual genealogy. You think of his relationship with Anna Julia Cooper, his teacher, who in her book of 1892 challenged us around categorizing thought as only one process. She wrote in an 1886 essay about the frozen area of thought in our new world and how do we move beyond it. She was a deep influence on his thinking, his preparation, and his vision. You also think of Joseph Price, the founder of Livingstone College, who was one of the first employers for Simon Green Atkins. It was there, the place that Du Bois called the Harvard of the South, where Simon Green Atkins saw a liberal educational ideal, preparing students at Livingstone to take on the challenges of the world. And when he decided to start Slater Industrial Academy, it was an educational model that he had experienced himself with his teacher, Anna Julia Cooper, that he saw in practice as a faculty member at Livingstone College with J.C. Price, that he wanted to bring here. He articulated it as a vision of educating head, hand, and heart. I can't imagine a better way of thinking about liberal education than an educational ethic that incorporates the head, the hand, and the heart. How do we bring the fullness of the educational experience to all of our students? It was here at Winston-Salem State University in 1923 we became the first black institution to dispense with high school education. The first. We understood, and Simon Green Atkins understood, that preparing students for the 20th century, there needed to be an institution that was dedicated to the highest ideals of academic excellence that prepared students to become leaders in a dynamic society. That's the educational vision of Simon Green Atkins. That's the heart of our institution. And in many ways, in this new century, in this new era, we're going back to our roots, bringing those roots into the 21st century and offering students an opportunity to come to an institution where all of their dreams can become reality by preparing them with the best educational experience possible.